Hare Krishna.
So it's Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 21.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vidura's talks with Maitreya. Text 21. Your good self is one of the eternal associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whose sake the Lord, while going back to his abode, left instructions with me. Purport. Yamaraj, the great controller of life after death, decides the living entities' destinies in their next lives. He is surely among the most confidential representatives of the Lord. Such confidential posts are offered to great devotees of the Lord, who are as good as his eternal associates in the spiritual sky. And because Vidura happened to be among them, the Lord, while returning to Vaikuntha, left instructions for Vidura with Maitreya Muni. Generally, the eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual sky do not come to the material world. Sometimes they come, however, by the order of the Lord, not to hold any administrative posts, but to associate with the Lord in person, or to propagate the message of God in human society. Such empowered representatives are called Shakti-Avesh avatars, or incarnations invested with transcendental power of eternity.
No, transcendental power of?
Attorney.
Attorney. Oh man. Hare Krishna. This one who used to oversee attorneys.
Yeah.
Lord. And,
I would call them lawyers.
well, yeah, but anyway, you get an attorney. That's the same kind of difference. So it's invested with the transcendental power of eternity, of attorney. Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking, who's Prabhupada talking about here? I think he's speaking about himself also. I mean, it's a general principle, but Prabhupada is also, he says they come to associate with the Lord in person or to propagate the message of God in human society. So that's definitely Prabhupada. So,
Yeah.
any thoughts?
I was thinking also Pankajangri Prabhu and personalities who descended with Prabhupada, just as when Lord Krishna comes, he descends with his people and his land. He doesn't just come with his people and everything. So, having a lot of realizations about that lately in light of Pankajangri Prabhu leaving, and what Prabhupada said about different people like Pankajangri Prabhu and others. So why, if such a pure devotee, such a founder acharya like Prabhupada came, he didn't come by himself. He's just too big a personality and too empowered. So droplets of jivas came with him and were scattered everywhere, and we don't, I guess we'll appreciate it more when they're not physically here, but it's true, and then they carry out the pastimes and then he takes them back wherever he's gone and somewhere else.
Yeah, we take a lot of things for granted, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, 22. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. Purport. The omnipotent Lord, by his different energies, can perform anything and everything. He can perform anything and everything he likes. The creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yogamaya energy.
Text 23. The personality of Godhead, the master of all living entities, existed prior to the creation as one without a second. It is by his will only that creation is made possible, and again everything merges in him. This supreme self is symptomized by different names. The great sage here begins to explain the purpose of the 4 original verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although they have no access to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the followers of the Mayavad impersonalist school sometimes screw out an imaginary explanation of the original 4 verses. But we must accept the actual explanation given herein by Maitreya Muni, because he, along with Uddhava, personally heard it directly from the Lord. The first line of the original 4 verses runs, Aham eva sam evagre. The word aham is misinterpreted by the Mayavad school into meanings which no one but the interpreter can understand. Here, aham is explained as the supreme personality of Godhead, not the individual living entities. Before the creation, there was only the personality of Godhead. There were no Purusha incarnations and certainly no living entities. Nor was there the material energy by which the manifested creation is affected. The Purusha incarnations and all the different energies of the Supreme Lord were merged in him only.
The personality of Godhead is described herein as the master of all other living entities. He is like the sun disk, and the living entities like the molecules of the sun's rays. This existence of the Lord before the creation is confirmed by the Shrutis. Vasudevo va idam agra asit na brahmana. Cha sankara eko va naranasin na brahmaneshanaha. Because everything that be is an emanation from the personality of Godhead. He always exists alone without a second. He can so exist because he is all perfect and omnipotent. Everything other than him, including his plenary expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas, is his part and parcel. Before the creation, there were no Karanadakshai. That says it in a different way.
Yeah.
Karanarnavashai. Or Garbhadakshai, or Kshiradakshai Vishnus, nor was there Brahma or Shankara. The Vishnu plenary expansion and the living entities beginning from Brahma are separated parts and parcels. Maybe you can read now.
Although the spiritual existence was there with the Lord, the material existence was dormant in him. By his will only is the material manifestation done and undone. The diversity of the Vaikuntha Loka is one with the Lord, just as the diversity of soldiers is one with and the same as the king. As is explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.7, the material creation takes place at intervals by the will of the Lord, and in the periods between dissolution and creation, the living entities and the material energy remain dormant in him.
Any thoughts?
Krishna is the cause of all causes.
Yeah, the Karanarnavashai Vishnu. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so text 24. The Lord, the undisputed proprietor of everything, was the only seer. The cosmic manifestation was not present at that time, and thus he felt imperfect without his plenary and separated parts and parcels. The material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifested. Purport. The Lord is the supreme seer because only by his glance did the material energy become active for cosmic manifestation. At that time, the seer was there, but the external energy over which the glance of the Lord is cast was not present. He felt somewhat insufficient, like a husband feeling lonely in the absence of his wife. This is a poetic simile. The Lord wanted to create the cosmic manifestation to give another chance to the conditioned souls who were dormant in forgetfulness. The cosmic manifestation gives the conditioned souls a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. And that is its main purpose. The Lord is so kind that in the absence of such a manifestation, he feels something wanting, and thus the creation takes place. Although the creation of the internal potency was manifested, the other potency appeared to be sleeping, and the Lord wanted to awaken her to activity. just as a husband wants to awaken his wife from a sleeping state for enjoyment. It is the compassion of the Lord for the sleeping energy that he wants to see her awaken for enjoyment, like the other wives who are awake. The whole process is to enliven the sleeping conditioned souls to the real life of spiritual consciousness, so that they may thus become as perfect as the ever-liberated souls in the Vaikuntha Lokas. Since the Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha, he likes every part and parcel of his different potencies to take part in the blissful rasa, because participation with the Lord in his eternal rasa lila is the highest living condition, perfect in spiritual bliss and eternal knowledge.
Any thoughts?
Well, very interesting. It seems like they're starting to discuss the creation, and they're saying that the Lord is the undisputed proprietor of everything and was the only seer, because it's by his glance that he impregnates the pradhan and manifests all the living entities, and life is created. So interesting analogies here about how one part, I didn't quite understand, one part was awake, but then he tried to wake the other part by looking into it. So I guess, yeah. Anyway, I'd have to read that through again. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you agree? Okay. Although the creation of the internal potency, that's it. Although the creation of the internal potency was manifested, the other potency appeared to be sleeping. So the internal
energy.
Yeah, the internal potency was already manifested, but the external potency needed to be awakened. Yeah.
Text 25. The Lord is the seer, and the external energy which is seen works as both cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation. O greatly fortunate Vidura, this external energy is known as Maya or illusion, and through her agency only is the entire material manifestation made possible. The material nature known as Maya is both the material and efficient cause of the cosmos, but in the background the Lord is the consciousness for all activities. As in the individual body the consciousness is the source of all energies of the body, so the supreme consciousness of the Lord is the source of all energies in material nature. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10 as follows. Maya yakshena prakriti suyate saracharam hetuna nena kunteya jagad viparivartate. And the translation is, throughout all the energies of material nature there is the hand of the Supreme Lord as the final superintendent. Due to this supreme cause only the activities of material nature appear planned and systematic, and all things regularly evolve.
Thoughts?
It's common sense, really. There has to be some sort of law and order, and therefore a lawmaker. Whoever or whatever you think that is, it's just, if you don't think it's Krishna or Allah or Jehovah, if it's just Mr. Blobby in the sky, is fine. But there has to be some common sense, is there, that there is a lawmaker out there, because there is a lawmaker for everything else but God.
But for everything. Everything has some laws, but and things that have laws usually have a lawmaker, but for the entire creation there is no lawmaker.
Right. The planets are just floating, the moon, the sun, it does its business, whatever. But there is a law, and if you don't cross the road properly you get arrested. There is a law about when you go to the supermarket and you can't just put something in your pocket and walk out, because it's the law. But don't worry about the bigger law in the creation, because there ain't one. I'm going to vote to that later today, by the way, because that's law.
Okay, and the next text, 26, and this will be the last one for today. The Supreme Living Being in his feature as the Transcendental Purusha Incarnation, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the material nature of three modes, and thus by the influence of eternal time, the living entities appear. So it looks like we're going to get into, because the beginning of the second canto and also the beginning of the third canto, which we're in. Which chapter is this?
5.
Basically, first there's discussion again on the topics of creation. The offspring of any living being is born after the father impregnates the mother with semen, and the living entity floating in the semen of the father takes the shape of the mother's form. Similarly, mother material nature cannot produce any living entity from her material elements unless and until she is impregnated with the living entities by the Lord himself. That is the mystery of the generation of the living entities. This impregnating process is performed by the first Purusha incarnation, Karanarnavashayi Vishnu. So crazy saying it differently. Simply by his glance over material nature, the whole matter is accomplished.
We should not understand the process of impregnation by the personality of God in terms of our conception of sex. The omnipotent Lord can impregnate just by his eyes, and therefore he is called all-potent. Each and every part of his transcendental body can perform each and every function of the other parts. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Brahma Samhita 5.32, Angani Yashya Sakalendriya Vritti Manti. In Bhagavad Gita 14.3, also the same principle is confirmed. Mamayone Mahad Brahma Tasmin Gaban Dadami Aham. When the cosmic creation is manifested, the living entities are directly supplied from the Lord. They are never products of material nature. Thus, no scientific advancement of material science can ever produce a living being. That is the whole mystery of the material creation. The living entities are foreign to matter, and thus they cannot be happy unless they are situated in the same spiritual life as the Lord. The mistaken living being, out of forgetfulness of his original condition of life, unnecessarily wastes time trying to become happy in the material world. The whole Vedic process is to remind one of this essential feature of life. The Lord offers the conditioned soul a material body for his so-called enjoyment. But if one does not come to his senses and enter into spiritual consciousness, the Lord again puts him in the unmanifested condition as it existed in the beginning of the creation. The Lord is described here as Viryavan, or the greatest potent being, because he impregnates material nature with innumerable living entities who are conditioned from time immemorial.
Any thoughts?
The living entities are foreign to matter. So we're all illegal immigrants, really. There's so much negativity and criticism of this point in all countries, let's be honest. But we're all legal immigrants because we don't belong here. We've come here on a rubber dinghy, without getting too controversial, trying to enjoy in a land that is not meant for our enjoyment.
Yeah. Come here as thieves to exploit the property of the Supreme Lord and try to enjoy. Yet no matter how much we try to enjoy, we often just become dissatisfied and hopeless. Like that. Yeah, should we finish there or read one more?
Can I read one more? It's quite small.
Okay. Thereafter, influenced by the interactions of eternal time, the supreme sum total of matter, called the Mahat Tattva, became manifested, and in this Mahat Tattva, the unalloyed goodness, the Supreme Lord, sowed the seeds of universal manifestation out of his own body. Purport. In due course of time, the impregnated material energy was manifested first as the total material ingredients. Everything takes its own time to fructify, and therefore the word kala kodi tat, influenced by time, is used herein. The Mahat Tattva is the total consciousness because a portion of it is represented in everyone as the intellect. The Mahatattva is directly connected with the Supreme Consciousness of the Supreme Being, but still it appears as matter. The Mahatattva, or shadow of pure consciousness, is the germinating place of all creation. It is pure goodness with the slight addition of the material mode of passion, and therefore activity is generated from this point.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, process of creation, very diverse and intricate in one sense, but amazing how it's all thoroughly explained again and again in the Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly, whereas, you know, in other religious texts or spiritual texts, it's not really made so clear exactly the process of creation. You know, scientists try to boggle their minds and everybody else's minds, trying to figure out how it all started. And here it is, it's all written down in a book called the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, it's really old.
For everybody to read, yeah. Like somebody already told us. But we gotta be busy trying to figure it out, and then explaining that everyone came from monkeys and that we all just manifested from nothing in a big bang. And we're all gonna wind up in nothing. Well, there you go. Okay.
I'm on the side of the little blue boy.
Yeah.
It's more believable.
Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.